Hi there. Welcome back to My Transgender Nation. Jessica here. Today we have a special guest, and I can't talk. I'm going to start all over again. Boy, this is going to be one of those days. I can see it already. Hi there. Jessica here. Welcome back to My Transgender Nation. Today we have a special guest, John Pica-Sneeden. He is the executive director of Connecticut Gay Lesbian Chamber here in Connecticut. And John has agreed to come online and let me torture him and have him tell us his story and about what the chamber does here in Connecticut. Welcome, John.
Hi, nice to see you, Jess.
It's
Hi,
great
everyone.
to see you. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us today. This is great.
My pleasure.
Cool. All right, so where we'll start is just tell us, in Reader's Digest version, your personal story.
Okay. I grew up in New York City in the Queens section and lived most of my life there until I was about 21. I moved to California for 2 years, then moved back to New York, and then eventually met my husband in Manhattan and moved up to Connecticut to start our life. That was about 37 years ago, last week.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've been together 37 years.
That's fabulous.
It is because most couples, gay couples, usually are in and out of relationships. I know myself when I was younger, I didn't really have plans to ever meet anybody to have a life with. And, because I grew up back in the 70s and the 80s, and who thought that, 37 years later, we've been together and then married, I want to say since 2015.
Wow.
And so it's been, and we also have 6 kids. They're all adopted, and they were grown. Well, 5 are grown. I still have one at home who's 16. So, I'm a floral designer by trade. I've worked in the flower industry in Manhattan, in California, and here in Connecticut. I had my own business for about 35 years, and I'm only 25.
And I have a bridge I want to sell you really soon. So. Oh, that's a great story. I like that story. So, how did you go from being a florist to be involved with the Connecticut Gay Lesbian Chamber?
Sure. About a couple of years ago, 7 years ago to be exact, in 2014, I had been diagnosed with cancer for the second time. And so I had surgery, and I had, friends come and visit. And one of my friends that came sat on the board of directors for the Connecticut Gay Lesbian Chamber. And we were talking, and she said to me, I'm looking for a new executive director for the chamber, and we have some people lined up. And I looked at her in my, my hospital gown, and I said to her, I said, oh my God, that's like the perfect job for me. And she's like, what? And I said, it's the perfect job for me because I was president of the chamber in my town here in Connecticut in East Windsor.
Yep.
And chairman of the Economic Development Commission. I was chairman of the board of Education. So I had a lot of board experience. And so she looked at me and she said, and I said, why didn't you tell me? She says, well, you had cancer and you were having surgery. You would have canceled it. I said, you're damn right I would have canceled it. I said, that's the perfect job for me. So I never applied. So they hired this young man who was wonderful. And that lasted for about 4 months. And I kept telling her, that job's mine. That job's mine. So September, October, they let the young man go, the other executive director.
It didn't work out so good, I guess. 4 months later, he's gone already.
Well, I don't know about that, but I didn't do anything, to make his life.
Not me.
Yeah, not me. I was with my kids. And so November, I gave them my resume, and then in November of 2014, I had an interview with the board, and they hired me within 24 hours. I was
Wow.
the new executive director and started December 2014. So now it's March of 2022, and
Yeah.
I'm still the executive director. So I guess I didn't do anything
Guess you're
wrong.
doing all right then, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was a good fit right from the bat, basically.
Yes. Well, I said to her, I said, I've been an administrator, I've been, presidents of different organizations, and the key component is I'm queer.
Very helpful.
It did help.
That's good. Very good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Connecticut Gay Lesbian Chamber does here in the state of Connecticut for its members and for the community?
Absolutely. We are the only chamber of commerce that covers the entire state of Connecticut. So, from border to border, from state to state, we cover everybody. And it's, more like a community. I try to, keep it as a community, and the board that we have today makes it a joint effort for the LGBTQ and allied business community. We support all of them, especially in the last 2 years with this pandemic. We never really allowed anybody to not be a member. We did not send out bills or invoices during the pandemic. And once everybody realized that they could stay, being a member of the chamber and coming to meetings, obviously, like the rest of the world, we did Zoom meetings. We were lucky enough to have the governor come on, and the lieutenant governor, one of the directors of the SBA, the Small Business Administration here in Connecticut. So we tried to keep everybody informed of what was going on through the pandemic, out of the state, out of the federal government. But most of all, we give the opportunity to LGBTQ and allied businesses, or allied businesses that support LGBT. We give them a place to go. We give them a place to belong. As you know, in any aspect of the LGBTQ community, one of the things that we always desire is to belong. Some of us, lost our families. Some of us were thrown out. Some of us were abused. So we're always looking for friends. We're always looking for a community that, one, accepts us for who we are, not to change us, to accept our authentic selves. So who we are is very important. Who they are is very important to us.
Yeah, I like that. That's great.
And most of all, to give those people a place to network so they can feel confident in themselves to network with other people who are just like them, similar, accepting. And that really is what it's about, and any chamber of commerce. A chamber of commerce is always a good organization. But for the Connecticut Gay and Lesbian Chamber, we give the LGBTQ community and allied business community a place to go.
And it's needed too. It's good. That's good that it's out there. You're also associated with the National Chamber as well, right?
Yes. The National Gay and Lesbian Chamber is out of Washington, and we are affiliated with them. And anybody that is in the state of Connecticut, an LGBT, 51% owned LGBT business, can apply to become a registered, certified LGBTQ business. Now, for those that don't know what that means, I'm sure you've all heard of supplier diversity. And if you've heard of supplier diversity, that means that every major company around the world, it's not just here in the United States, but around the world, offers certain minorities a percentage of that they have to give, to hire them.
Sure.
And that's very important for the LGBT certified businesses, because that gives them an in, not necessarily going to get the job, but it gives you that in to put in a bid to make sure that we have a seat at the table. Most of the time, we don't have a seat at the table. like the state of Connecticut, does not recognize LGBTQ plus as a minority. And right now we're working on legislature. We don't get involved in politics because that's like in business, that's cutting your throat.
Yeah, yeah, amen to that. Yes.
But when it comes to our own community,
Mhm.
then we support it. So I'm working with legislators now and other executive directors for other LGBT nonprofit organizations around the state to help persuade legislature to recognize LGBTQ as a minority. And this basically means that we as a community and anybody that's a registered LGBT certified, they can apply to any kind of a job that the state offers. And they have to be considered part of that. Right now, we don't have a seat at the table.
Oh, I hope that changes soon for everybody's sake. That would
Well,
be.
trust me, that's what we're working on.
Yeah. And if
And
I know anybody that could possibly get it done, it's you. So
well, thank
I think
you.
it's in good hands. That's for sure.
Thank you, Jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you got the Connecticut Chamber, you got the National Chamber. You're working with the business owners. Um, what else does the chamber get involved with?
At this point right now, we in the state of Connecticut are extremely lucky because we have such a large LGBTQ population.
Mhm.
During a year, there's about 27, 28 Pride events in the state of Connecticut. Now, if California said that, you could understand. If Texas said that, we'd be crazy because they wouldn't do it. But through the whole idea of the state of Connecticut being such a small state, but we have 20, 27, 28, I think we just added another one, events throughout the year. So starting in May all the way up until November, which is great. You know, there's different Pride events, there's different parades, there's different groups. All of the major cities, Bridgeport, New Haven, Middletown, Hartford, they all have Pride events. So we have that. We also there's different kinds of drag shows that are put on during the year around the state. Even Foxwoods, who is a corporate partner of ours, has been able to do and put on events. We have all of the sports teams throughout the state of Connecticut, from the Connecticut Sun to the hockey teams of the Wolfpack and the Bridgeport Islanders. We have the Yard Goats. We have the Hartford Athletics soccer team. All of them have Pride nights coming up. We're all part of that.
Wow, that's
the
amazing.
CTGLC. So hear about it. If anybody wants information about it, just go to our website and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get all of that information.
So do you list on your website all the different events that are going on that you're aware of?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I'm trying. Again, I'm the only employee,
yeah.
so so I try to do as much as I can.
Sure.
So I was waiting for a lot of the logos, the LGBT, the rainbow logos from the different sports events.
Yep.
And so those will go right on our calendar. So hopefully by the end of this week, I'll have everything uploaded and on our calendar. If people sign up with their email, then they'll get a direct email blast from
Excellent.
us with all of the events.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Yes. We try to inform.
Yeah. Well, that's half the battle right there, right?
Yes.
It's
And
so hard to be involved if you don't know what things are going on. So
Exactly.
It's great that there's a resource for so many different items so that you can see what's going on. Right.
And what that does is, regardless of what the town is, whether it's Hartford to New Haven to Middletown to Bethel to Groton, Norwalk, it brings people into those areas, and they all shop in those areas. They spend their money, whether it's in local stores, restaurants, coffee shops, the entertainment, the bars, in the evenings. So we try to gear everybody to go into those areas so they can support local business.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
And we do have an event coming up in September 24th.
Your gala.
Yes, our gala. We are celebrating 15 years that we've been around here in Connecticut, and that's going to be at the Fox Tower. Again, anybody interested in advertising or anything like that, you could reach me. Just go to www.ctglc.org, and my emails, all the information is there about me, and just email me.
Excellent. Good to hear. So obviously, I brought you on because I'm a member of the transgender community, and this site that we're doing this interview on is called MyTransgenderNation, and we're supporting the transgender community. How does your organization, other than myself, who is a member of your chamber, do you have many other transgender people or organizations affiliated with you guys at all? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Well, most of the other, we have one other member that I know of. It's very difficult to ask people.
Yeah, well, you usually know. I mean,
we do have another member that is a transgender, and he right now was a member of our board, but had to step down because he wrote a book. And hopefully, Jessica, you'll have him on.
Yes, I look forward to that. That would be
fun. But anytime we have any kind of events that we hear about from any of the LGBT organizations, if there's Transgender Awareness Week, if there's Transgender Remembrance, we promote all of that on our social media, and we promote it all on our events calendar. If something's coming up, we try to keep abreast of all of the aspects. I remember that there was a woman that I had called me one time. This was a couple of years ago, and she said, "How come you don't promote anything for bisexuals?" And I'm like, "Well, send me stuff, because I don't, if I don't hear about it, I'm not sitting up reading every newspaper, or watching every television show that's going on to tell me what's going on."
Your crystal ball doesn't work that well, apparently.
No, I'm only one person. But the transgender community has always been, and this is one of those things that I've been around for a very long time. I was old enough to be around 51 years ago for Stonewall. I lived in New York. I remember watching it on television, not actually knowing. I'm not going to lie and say, "Oh my God, those were my people." But I can't say that I knew what was going on, but I remember it happening. The only reason why is because the week before Judy Garland died, and that I remember that. So from Stonewall to AIDS to transgender people being constantly put down and not revered, because why we celebrate who we are, our community, was based on Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who are the two most prominent trans people that were around back in Stonewall.
Right.
And people tend to forget. I remember seeing, I'm pretty sure it was on The Life and Death of Marsha P. Johnson, where there's the documentary or docudrama, where Sylvia Rivera showed up to the first Pride the year after Stonewall, and they wouldn't let her speak. And it's in the video, and it's on Netflix. If you actually listen to what she was saying, she speaks the truth. Because without our transgender family, we would not be where we are today. We would not have the pride that we have today. We would not, that we as Americans already should have. So to the transgender community, who are unfortunately being so um, discriminated against by not only the laws, but by our own people and by the straight people, they should be revered and accepted and understood and loved more than anything. I have the opportunity right now to have um, a gay son who he's not quite adopted yet. I can't talk about his name or anything, but until he's adopted, then call me and then I'll tell you, I'll complain about it. But we talk, and his point of view is so different than mine. Because I've lived for the last 64 years, and he's only had 16. And I look at him and his friends, and I look that they already accept who they are and what they have. Whereas
and
when I
each other too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's wonderful to look because to watch them, because they don't have to fight, but they have to continue. And like I said to my son, you have to, just because you have all of those things right now from my generations.
Yeah.
I said, that doesn't mean you sit back and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
You still have to fight for the community. It depends on who's on the fire, whether it's a gay man, a lesbian, a transgender, a bisexual, someone who doesn't know but doesn't identify yet. You have to be there to support them. And that, for me, with the chamber, with all of the nonprofit organizations that we are affiliated with, and they're affiliated with us, I think that's very important. Next, I think or the June 28th, actually, I'm going to be sitting on a panel for the Greater New Haven Chamber, who's doing a Pride event.
Oh, really?
That's huge. Okay,
Yeah.
that's huge to have another Chamber of Commerce who have reached out to me multiple times, for information. I sat on there for a short time. I sat on their diversity board. Excuse me. But we try to stay as active with the trans community, because they right now they need the voice.
Yeah.
They need the voice. They need to be accepted. They need to understand that there are people in our community that will throw the first brick.
Yep.
So they don't have to.
There you go. What would you say to someone who has a transgender person in their orbit? How would you tell them to help support that transgender person?
Listen.
There you go.
Listen. Just listen to what they're talking about. Don't ever dismiss. And it's not just the transgender, but especially for a youth person, somebody that's young. If a little boy wants to play with a doll, oh, for God's sakes, let him play with the goddamn doll.
Yeah.
If a little girl wants to play with a truck, let her play with a truck. If you feel that you're so insecure as a parent that you can't let your child be who they are, then then look at the problem. It's not the child, it's you. So my suggestion to anybody that is a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent, a friend, that if you see somebody, that a little boy or a little girl or somebody that just is being themselves without being forced upon. I was lucky. I was extremely lucky growing up. I played with trucks. I played with dolls. I played baseball. I danced. I did it all because no one ever told me I couldn't.
Yay.
So listen to the youth of today. Listen to our children and listen to them when they talk. It's not necessarily the words they're saying. It's the words they're not saying.
Great words. Thank you so much. Any last thoughts before we go, John?
Last thoughts. Yes, I do have a last thought. Always support local businesses. Local businesses are the backbone of the state and of this country.
Yep.
And the more that you support them, the more they will be. I'm blessed to say that over the last probably 3 months, I've talked to 3 people that want to open a brick and mortar shop.
Wow.
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah.
And they're all LGBTQ.
There you go. Now you're talking.
So support your local businesses.
Excellent.
And listen to your children.
Great words indeed. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time today and having this discussion with us. I greatly appreciate it. I will post your email address when I put this video up for people to reach you and the Connecticut Gay Lesbian Chamber. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, like and subscribe our channel. You can find us on Facebook at MyTransgenderNation, our website, MyTransgenderNation.com, and obviously on this YouTube channel as well. I greatly appreciate your time, and I hope to talk to you soon. Oh, if you have any ideas for future videos, please make sure you send us a message and let us know. Take care, everybody.